By the end of Jujutsu Kaisen, we have witnessed the appearance of hundreds of cursed spirits, and today, we will rank the top 10 strongest cursed spirits based on criteria such as destructive potential, level of brutality, and overall combat capability. Opening the list at number 10 is Tengen, an extremely unique case. Without possessing physical strength or killing instincts like other cursed spirits, Tengen almost never engages in direct combat. However, in terms of influence and mastery of barrier techniques, she stands on an entirely different level enough to secure her place in this ranking. Tengen originally began as a human jujutsu sorcerer from the Nara period, meaning she has existed for over 1,000 years, even predating Sukuna. Tengen's innate technique is immortality, allowing her to live almost indefinitely. However, this ability does not prevent aging. Every 500 years, Tengen must merge with a star plasma vessel to renew her body and maintain a human form. Even so, thanks to a special barrier technique that has not been fully revealed, Tengen retains her consciousness and sanity. Everything changed in 2006 when the merger process failed due to the intervention of Toji Fushiguro. Without a vessel to synchronize with, Tengen's innate technique triggered a forced evolution. Over time, she gradually transformed into an existence closer to a cursed spirit than a human. But what truly makes Tengen dangerous does not lie in her new form or nature. Her real power lies in her barrier techniques. While most sorcerers can only erect a curtain or deploy a domain expansion, Tengen created structures known as pure barriers, the largest barrier system in the history of Jujutsu. These barriers extend throughout Japan, with some structures large enough to cover entire mountain ranges. To put it into perspective, Sukuna's malevolent shrine during the Shibuya incident was not even 1% the size of a single pure barrier. So what do pure barriers actually do? First, they reinforce and optimize all barrier techniques within the modern Jujutsu system. Sorcerer's curtains are strengthened by the foundation Tengen established. Jujutsu High can alter the structure of its buildings daily to conceal its location. The Tomb of the Star Corridor is protected by more than 1,000 ever-changing doors, making it nearly impenetrable. All of this operates based on the core system created by Tengen. More importantly, pure barriers function to suppress cursed spirits. They reduce both the quantity and the evolutionary level of curses within Japan. This explains why, despite the birth of Gojo Satoru causing the overall power ceiling of cursed spirits to surge dramatically, the number of truly intelligent cursed spirits remains extremely rare. Tengen's suppression mechanism has silently restrained that development for hundreds of years. Kenjaku even implied that if the pure barriers were to disappear, the entire achievement of over 1,000 years of fighting against curses would be erased. This shows that the system does not merely maintain order, but has also been continuously optimized over time. Another crucial detail revealed by Yuki Tsukumo is that Tengen's barrier system is the reason Japan has a disproportionately high number of jujutsu sorcerers compared to the rest of the world. This means Tengen's influence extends beyond suppressing curses. She has also shaped the very manpower structure of the jujutsu world. At number 9 is Smallpox Deity, also known as Smallpox Hag, a special grade cursed spirit embodying the nature of disease. This is a special grade cursed spirit summoned by Kenjaku through cursed spirit manipulation to confront Mei Mei during the Shibuya incident. The mere fact that it was chosen to test a grade 1 sorcerer like Mei Mei already demonstrates that this curse was far from ordinary. Smallpox Deity's domain expansion takes the form of a graveyard. Inside the domain, the attack effect is guaranteed to hit, and the individual with the highest amount of cursed energy at that moment automatically becomes the target. This mechanism allows the curse to maintain constant pressure on the strongest opponent in the area. First, the target is confined inside a coffin, immediately after a massive tombstone falls down, striking forcefully and burying the target underground. The impact alone inflicts significant damage. After being buried, the victim has exactly 3 seconds to escape the coffin. If they fail to escape within that time limit, they die due to the effect of smallpox. What makes this technique dangerous is that it can be repeated continuously. Even if the target manages to break out of the coffin in time, the confinement and attack process can immediately activate again, gradually draining the opponent's energy until they are no longer able to resist. However, this domain also has clear limitations. It can only target one individual at a time. This means that the others inside the domain are still free to attack Smallpox Deity. Additionally, since the target is chosen based on the highest amount of cursed energy, a sorcerer can deliberately suppress their energy to alter who becomes the target. It was precisely these weaknesses that created the opportunity for Mei Mei to exploit and secure victory. Even so, it cannot be denied that Smallpox Deity possesses one of the most dangerous domain mechanics in Jujutsu Kaisen. No complex attacks are required. If the opponent cannot escape within 3 seconds, the outcome is already decided. At number 8 is Kurourushi, a special grade cursed spirit, born from humanity's collective fear of cockroaches. That fear gave rise to an entity powerful enough to participate in the culling game and accumulate an enormous number of points. Within the Sendai colony, Kurourushi entered a tense standoff against top-tier names such as Yuta Okotsu, Ishigori Ryu, and Takako Uro. It was a battlefield where no one wanted to make the first move, and Kurourushi exploited its very nature to break that deadlock. Its primary ability is Cursed Cockroaches, which allows Kurourushi to create and control swarms of real cockroaches reinforced with cursed energy. As the king of cockroaches, Kurourushi commands them absolutely, and when they attack in swarms, they can devour a human being in mere seconds, leaving behind nothing but a skeleton. Even Yuta acknowledged this as a genuine threat. Kurourushi can also create special insect shikigami. These shikigami carry sacs filled with bodily fluids. When destroyed, the liquid inside bursts out and temporarily blinds the opponent. The effect lasts only a brief moment, but in a high-level battle, even a single instant of lost vision is enough to create a fatal opening, and Kurourushi always capitalizes on that exact moment. Its weapon is the Festering Life Sword, a cursed tool with a unique structure featuring hollow gaps along the blade. Inside are eggs that can be directly fired into the opponent's body at close range. These eggs are powerful enough to pierce through Yuta's cursed energy reinforcement. Once they enter the body, they immediately hatch into insects and tear their way out from beneath the skin, forcing the target to split their focus between internal and external threats. Through this coordinated sequence, Kurourushi managed to land an almost fatal blow on Yuta. Without reverse curse technique, Yuta would have died on the spot. One of its most distinctive mechanisms is parthenogenesis, a form of reproduction that allows it to produce offspring without a mate. As a result, even after death, Kurourushi's cursed energy is transferred to its offspring, ensuring continuation in another form with equivalent strength. Ultimately, Kurourushi could only be exterminated through reverse curse technique. Since cursed spirits are composed entirely of negative cursed energy, the positive energy produced by reverse curse technique can eradicate them completely. When Yuta directly output positive energy onto Kurourushi, its very structure of existence was entirely destroyed, and its body instantly exploded. Even so, the combination of swarm-based offense, temporary crowd control, internal organ damage, and species continuity clearly explains why it holds this position in the ranking. At number 7 is Dagon, the pure embodiment of humanity's fear of the sea and oceanic disasters. Dagon is a special grade curse spirit, but for most of its existence, it remained in the form of a cursed womb, an undeveloped state. At this stage, Dagon had almost no real combat experience. While Mahito, Jogo, and Hanami directly clashed with high-level sorcerers, Dagon mainly stayed behind. As a result, when facing Naobito during the Shibuya incident, it was quickly overwhelmed. However, that very pressure triggered its evolution. Dagon transformed into its fully matured form, and from that moment onward, the tide of battle completely shifted. Dagon's innate technique is disaster tides, which allows it to generate an enormous volume of water directly from cursed energy without requiring any external source. These waves carry tremendous impact force, enough to crush and drown opponents in an instant. What makes it even more terrifying is Dagon's cursed energy reserves. Before the battle truly began, Dagon had already devoured numerous people. Because of this, even Nanami once felt that its cursed energy was nearly limitless. The pinnacle of Dagon's power lies in its domain expansion horizon of the captivating Skanda. Interestingly, it possessed this domain even while still a cursed womb. Inside the domain, a tropical island is manifested as a deceptive surface appearance. In reality, the entire space is under Dagon's absolute control. Shikigami are summoned with a guaranteed hit mechanism, continuously attacking targets in ways that are nearly impossible to evade. Combined with its massive cursed energy reserves and durable regeneration, Dagon turns its domain into an ocean that crushes everything within it. In the end, Dagon was defeated by a factor beyond conventional standards. But when considering battlefield control, endurance, and offensive pressure within its domain alone, Dagon unquestionably deserves to be regarded as one of the most dangerous special-grade cursed spirits in the Shibuya incident. At number 6 is Hanami, a special-grade cursed spirit, born from humanity's fear of natural disasters on land. Unlike curses that merely seek chaos, Hanami has a clear objective to eradicate humans for destroying nature. Disaster Plants allows Hanami to generate plant life directly from its own cursed energy. It does not need to manipulate existing vegetation, but can materialize plants from nothing and erase them at will. Massive roots can erupt from the ground to pierce, crush, or restrain targets. Hanami can adjust their length and force depending on the situation. In addition, it can create wooden spheres capable of firing sharp branches powerful enough to penetrate conventional defenses. One of Hanami's most dangerous dangerous abilities is the cursed buds implanted into an opponent's body. Once embedded, they begin draining cursed energy from within. The more the victim uses their cursed technique, the deeper the roots grow. This forces the opponent to restrain their own power or risk being killed from the inside. Megumi experienced this firsthand when confronting Hanami. Hanami also possesses flowers with a unique psychological effect. When they bloom, they create an atmosphere that weakens the opponent's will to fight, even those in a life or death mindset. The effect is brief, but in a high-level battle, even a single moment of hesitation is enough to shift the outcome. In terms of energy, Hanami can absorb life force from real plants and convert it into cursed energy. However, instead of retaining it for regeneration like Dagon, Hanami channels all that energy into the flower on its left arm. When released, it produces an enormous cursed energy blast. Beyond its techniques, Hanami's durability is another terrifying factor. It withstood multiple consecutive black flashes from Yuji Itadori and continued fighting. The combination of extraordinary durability, battlefield control through vegetation, and nearly unavoidable attacks clearly explains why Hanami deserves to be among the strongest cursed spirits. At number 5 is Ganesha. This is a special grade cursed spirit classified as a divine curse of Asian origin, and it was subdued and controlled by Kenjaku through cursed spirit manipulation. Its existence also demonstrates that cursed energy is not generated solely in Japan but also appears elsewhere, most likely formed in India from collective fear and the energy released through death. Its innate technique is called obstacle removal. Rather than attacking, crushing, or penetrating an opponent's defenses, its technique simply eliminates the target if they are deemed an obstacle. This means it does not need to overcome durability or physical strength in a conventional manner. It directly affects the conceptual existence of the target in their role as a hindrance. Kenjaku clearly demonstrated this power when testing it against the United States military. Facing dozens of armed soldiers blocking the path, Kenjaku activated Ganesha's ability. In an instant, all the soldiers were displaced from the building and launched into the air, clearing the way with almost no resistance. Because of this, Kenjaku was confident enough to deploy Ganesha as his first option when confronting Yuki. However, when Yuki unleashed Star Rage with overwhelming mass directly into its head, Ganesha was destroyed instantly. Although it was defeated rather quickly against an opponent of the highest caliber, the conceptual nature of obstacle removal still makes Ganesha one of the most dangerous cursed spirits. In most ordinary situations, an ability that can ignore the laws of physics and directly remove obstacles is extremely difficult to counter. At number 4 is Naoya Zenin, and it must be said plainly, although he was an extremely detestable person, his cursed spirit form fully deserves a place on this list. When he was alive, Naoya was a genius of the Zenin clan and the inheritor of projection sorcery, just like Naobito. He believed he would become clan head after Naobito's death, but the will instead named Megumi as successor if Gojo were no longer present. That decision ignited the chain of conflicts that led to Maki massacring the entire Zenin clan to avenge Mai. Ironically, Naoya himself was killed with nothing more than an ordinary kitchen knife. According to the rules of Jujutsu, if a sorcerer is killed without the use of cursed energy, they can become a vengeful cursed spirit, and that is exactly what happened to Naoya. After being reborn, Naoya not only retained his intelligence, but pushed projection sorcery to its maximum potential. His new form initially appeared as a larval cursed womb, later evolving into a cocoon-like structure with a skull-like face and elongated appendages in place of arms and legs. This body seemed specifically designed to optimize speed. Projection sorcery allows Naoya to divide 1 second into 24 frames of movement. Upon reaching his complete state, he could accelerate to Mach 3. At that velocity, the mere pressure of his movement was enough to shatter nearby glass without direct contact. Even Maki, after reaching a state equivalent to Toji, struggled greatly to keep up with his trajectory. It was not only speed, Naoya's regenerative ability was also extraordinarily abnormal. He was slashed multiple times, even cut in half, yet he could reconstruct his body within seconds. This level of instant regeneration created a significant gap compared to many other cursed spirits. But the true pinnacle of his power lies in his domain expansion time cell Moon Palace. Normally, when touched by projection sorcery, the target must visualize 24 movements within 1 second, or they will be frozen. Inside Naoya's domain, this mechanism is upgraded to the cellular level. Instead of freezing the entire body, the technique affects each individual cell. This means that any attempt to move causes internal desynchronization, forcing the body to tear itself apart from within. The more the victim struggles to resist, the more catastrophic the internal destruction becomes. At number 3 is Rika, once referred to as the Queen of Curses, and that title was not an exaggeration. Suguru Geto believed that if he could fully control Rika, he would reach a level equal to Gojo. Even Gojo himself admitted that if Rika were to lose control, he would have to stake his own life to stop her. Coming from someone of Gojo's stature, that statement carries enormous weight. In terms of raw power, Rika far surpasses almost every other cursed spirit. She possesses an immense amount of cursed energy, arguably the greatest on this list. list. Rika's physical strength is also overwhelming. She can easily overpower opponents through sheer force while possessing extremely high durability and top-tier cursed energy output. It was precisely this massive energy reserve that allowed Yuta in Jujutsu Kaisen 0 to wield cursed energy far beyond conventional standards. However, vengeful cursed spirit Rika also had clear limitations. She did not demonstrate complex combat intelligence like other cursed spirits, nor did she possess a domain expansion. This creates a significant question mark if Rika were to face domains with specialized or conceptual mechanics. Against domains focused purely on firepower, her immense cursed energy and durability would allow Rika to endure for a considerable period. But when confronting domains with unique rule-based mechanics that directly affect the target, relying solely on raw strength may not be sufficient. Even so, when considering raw strength alone, Rika stands nearly at the summit. The gap between her absolute power and her lack of advanced techniques is precisely why she does not claim the #1 position, yet still rightfully remains among the strongest cursed spirits in the entire series. At number 2 is Jogo. Jogo was born from humanity's fear of volcanoes and molten disasters. From that very nature, he believes that cursed spirits are the true inhabitants of this world, while humans are merely usurpers. That belief is directly reflected in his combat style, uncontrolled, unrestrained, driven solely by total destruction. Jogo's innate technique is disaster flames. He can convert cursed energy into volcanic flames of overwhelming heat. This is not ordinary fire, but firepower capable of incinerating high-level jujutsu sorcerers in an instant. Jogo can release concentrated blasts of heat from his hands, or create volcanic eruptions beneath his opponent's feet, turning the entire battlefield into a sea of magma under his control. In addition, he can summon ember insects, small creatures filled with cursed energy that fly directly toward targets and explode upon impact. The combination of wide area destruction and constant pressure makes approaching Jogo extremely dangerous. But the attack that defines his caliber is Maximum Meteor. Jogo summons a massive blazing meteor from the sky. Its destructive force is enough to flatten a vast area of Shibuya. More importantly, even Sukuna acknowledged that if struck directly, the attack would be dangerous. This demonstrates that Jogo's firepower reached a level that even those at the pinnacle of the power hierarchy must take seriously. That power is further amplified by his domain expansion coffin of the Iron Mountain. Inside the domain, the space transforms into an active volcano. The temperature is so extreme that an ordinary opponent could die instantly. Attacks are guaranteed to hit, and the entire environment continuously exerts overwhelming thermal pressure on the target. Beyond sheer firepower, Jogo also demonstrated tactical thinking when using domain amplification against Satoru Gojo. By coating his body in a thin layer of domain, he was able to temporarily neutralize Gojo's innate technique and physically touch him, something very few have accomplished. In the end, despite repeatedly facing opponents far beyond conventional standards, Jogo proved himself to be one of the most destructive special-grade cursed spirits in the entire series. When considering pure firepower and battlefield leveling capability alone, very few curses can rival him. And at the #1 position is none other than Mahito, the most dangerous curse because he reaches the deepest layer of life itself, the soul. Mahito was born from humanity's hatred toward other humans. He does not merely want to kill, he wants to distort, break, and redefine humans according to his own vision. Mahito's innate technique, Idol Transfiguration, allows him to manipulate the soul directly. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, the body is merely the physical reflection of the soul. Therefore, when Mahito touches and alters the soul, the body deforms instantly. This means he can kill, cripple, or transform a target with a single touch. This ability also applies to himself. Mahito can freely reconstruct his body, turning his limbs into blades, spikes, or any form suited to the situation. He can create clones, adjust his body's structure to reduce damage, or regenerate from severe injuries. This adaptability makes Mahito extremely unpredictable, and almost always capable of adjusting to the rhythm of battle. In addition, he uses soul multiplicity to fuse multiple souls into unstable, aberrant entities, then detonate them as living weapons. From this, Mahito developed polymorphic soul isomers, beings optimized for combat, sacrificing stability in exchange for explosive power. His greatest evolution is instant spirit body of distorted killing. In this state, Mahito attains a deeper understanding of the nature of his own soul. His durability increases dramatically, and attacks that once caused damage become significantly less effective. In terms of cursed energy control, Mahito is also at a very high level. He has performed Black Flash, demonstrating precise perception and manipulation of cursed energy. His reserves are large enough to sustain prolonged combat without quickly depleting. But the true finishing move is his domain expansion, self-embodiment of perfection. Within this domain, Mahito automatically touches the soul of anyone present. Idol Transfiguration becomes a guaranteed hit. No physical contact is required. No need to approach. As long as the victim is inside the domain, their soul is already in his grasp. Even Kento Nanami understood that confronting this domain head-on meant enormous risk. More importantly, Mahito is not only powerful, he continuously learns and evolves throughout the story. Even as Yuji Itadori story grew stronger and increasingly overwhelmed him, Mahito survived until the final stages of the Shibuya incident, developing further with each battle. By bypassing physical durability and striking directly at the soul, the core of existence, Mahito becomes the most lethal curse, and his position at number 1 on this list is entirely justified. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.